before we get started, make sure you go ahead and subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and then click that bell notification so you're notified every time I post another video. Her hair looks dry, but it's wet. And first, she got a Olaplex 1 treatment. And after the Olaplex 1 set in her hair for 20 minutes, then I followed up with Olaplex number 2. I have number 3 on the screen for whatever reason, but it was Olaplex number 2 when I'm using Olaplex 1. All right. And then after that, her hair was strong and prepared for this install. Now, this is one of my clients that at the time did have a hair shaft disorder and a follicle disorder known as traction alopecia. Now, when you are putting in a sew-in, it is not as simple as just sewing wefts in. It is imperative that you understand the human skull, right? So make sure you head over to my blog post, because over on my blog post, I break that down a little bit more. But in this video, what you are watching me do is braid her hair according to the curvature of her head, so that way I'm avoiding all of the weak spots. Whenever most women are noticing these patterns, right, what you notice is these issues are around the high tension areas or around the areas that you cover. And here, this hair is the hair that I am leaving out, the hair around the perimeter. But this breakage that she has comes from a combination of frontals, lace closures, and wearing tight scarves and edge controls, because over time it blocks the follicles and the cuticles, making the follicles weaker over time. And in return, this will result in your hair thinning, and most of the time the balding that resembles this does not just happen all in one sitting. Normally it happens little by little by little by little. And if you're wearing wigs all the time, or if you always have your hair covered, then it's not something that you would necessarily notice, right? So this is why it is so vitally important for you to make sure that you understand the pressure points in your head, and it's vitally important that you really educate yourself on how to properly put in weaves, because social media made everything look so easy and so simple with the do-it-yourself wigs and the do-it-yourself weaves and all of that, that it made people feel like they could just completely skip over, going to a professional because it looks so easy online. But what you guys don't understand is when you are braiding hair, you're braiding hair based on the curvature of your client's hair. And you also have to pay attention to the follicle and understand that there's a combination of sweat, makeup, and oil that naturally lives within the follicle. So when you have a sew-in, the very last thing you should do is saturate the follicle and the hair shaft with a bunch of oils and butters and edge controls. No, I'm sorry, a lot of people aren't going to like it when I say this, but if you are a person that cannot braid without saturating the hair in oils and butters, if your braids can't look good and if your parts can't be straight and defined without edge control, then my baby, you may need a little bit more practice, because when you put oils and butters, especially thick polymers like edge controls in the scalp, what ends up happening, it ends up blocking the oxygen flow within the hair's follicle. And then on top of that, when you block the follicles, like let's say you put oils and butters in your scalp and your diet is wrong, what ends up happening is your hair growth cycle slows down and you go bald from problems from the inside out. So we're going to hop into that a little deeper in a second, but let's talk about the human scalp, right? There's something called a sebaceous gland, and that sebaceous gland produces a sebum, a natural oil called sebum. And this sebum is a waxy substance, not an oily substance. And your hair is coated in it before it even pokes out of the pores, right? So it's imperative that you're always washing your hair, because if you don't shampoo your hair, the natural bacteria that lives on your scalp, it ends up colonizing, because it is a colonizing bacteria. On the video in the description box below, I give you the name of 25 out of the 1,000 different forms of yeast and bacteria that live on the human scalp naturally. And if you let these bacteria overpopulate, what ends up happening is different infections, right? The same thing happens on your skin. If you just have a bunch of oil on your skin and you never wash your face for 3 months, eventually you're going to get blackheads, because there's something that happens every 28 days where the dead skin on your scalp, it dies, it falls off, and it makes its way up with new hair, right? So if you're constantly oiling the scalp, you're blocking the pores, you're blocking the follicles, you're allowing that colonizing bacteria to colonize, and you're causing different follicle infections. On top of that, if you went to somebody who braided your hair too tight, or if you braided your hair too tight, or if you always have the wigs on so it's cutting off oxygen flow, then what ends up happening is you end up pushing your hair's follicle into telogen effluvium, right? Telogen effluvium is the resting phase of the hair growth cycle, and the resting phase of the hair growth cycle, only about 5 to 10% of your hair's follicles are supposed to be in that phase at one time. But when you have telogen effluvium, about 80% of them are. So you have the blocked oil glands from you greasing the scalp before and after the weave, and the tension that's causing the telogen effluvium. It's the recipe for disaster. Now, I love hair nets, right? And this hair net is one that isn't going to be harsh on her hair in any way, shape, or form. Consistent, simple routine has given me the healthiest hair I've ever had. The first shed hairball was after this styled hair wash, and the second shed hairball was from the pre-wash brushing plus after blow drying. I trim my ends, so I expect to have less dry shed hairs in the future. Following Sin's guidance is the only way that I've been able to regrow the hair on my temples and get hair in this condition. My hair has never ever been this healthy. I am so confident that I can grow my hair as long as I want now. I have so much appreciation for Sin and this group. Thank you. So as you can see here on the screen, this is her before and after 3 months in the 7-day hair growth challenge, following everything as it goes and not adding any extra team natural nothing, right? I'm trying to tell y'all my techniques work, and the thing is, the 7-day challenge is something that you can pay for all at one time, or you can start it through Sizzle, and you can start for as little as $25. Let's say you can't do the 7-day challenge, you can get one of my mini ebooks, or you can save all of your money and you can check the links in the description box below and look at all of the playlists that I have broken down. There are over 850 videos breaking down everything that you could possibly need to know, right? So again, at this point, the thread that I'm using is very important. You don't just use any thread. This is the type of thread that is not going to snag on her hair, so I will not be creating any type of hair shaft disorders with a sew-in. When you do different things like crochets and stuff like that, a lot of times you end up causing midway hair shaft disorders that look like this one that is being displayed on the screen, because most people use their hair as test dummies. I did not learn how to do sew-ins or anything that I do behind the chair on my own head. I learned everything that I know today on a mannequin. So that is most people's problem, because what happens is you watch a YouTube video, and as soon as you watch the YouTube video, you go about all of the stuff that they had in the video, and then you come back home, set all of your stuff up in your bathroom like they were in their bathroom, and then you turn the video back on and do everything they did. Don't do that. Don't do that. Be your own test dummy. Look, you see how her face is blurred out? It's not supposed to be like that, but I'm working with this new editing software that's blurring the face out a little bit of my client in this video, and it blurred out the face on the picture. Lord. But anyway, I want you guys to make sure that you get your own mannequin, because when you get a mannequin, what you can do is practice, practice, practice. So the mistakes that you make on your head that end up causing a bald spot, the mistakes that you can make on your head that end up causing a hair shaft disorder or different forms of breakage, you can avoid all of that because you made the mistakes on the mannequin and not your head. make sure you check the links in the description box below so you can head over to my Amazon store, because I also have a surprise for you for Olaplex and Amazon, right? So make sure you stick around until the end of this video, right? So again, I am making sure that I am folding over these wefts. I'm not cutting them. I did used to seal wefts for my clients. So if you see anything on the wefts, her wefts are sealed, right? So again, I am going all over her whole entire head. The way that I sew, I'm not sewing super tight. I'm constantly asking my client over and over and over again, does this feel okay? Does this feel okay? By the way, I know that you can see her face a little bit side view, but it is, I'm not really trying to block her face out, but I mean, I just don't want y'all all in her business the whole way. You know, originally when this video was on my channel, you could see everything, but today we just, we trying it out. But again, the sew-in that I'm giving her, this is making it so her hair, it really, really is protected because of the way that I prepared it at first. But I also want you guys to understand, yes, you may pay a whole lot of money for a sew-in, right? But that doesn't mean that you keep it in for 3 months. And most women they think that the amount of money that they pay for their hair determines the amount of time that is left in, and that's just not how it goes, y'all. It's just not. When you are getting a sew in my opinion, you need to really sit down and make a decision, like, is this something that I'm going to be able to keep with on a bi-monthly basis, right? Because it's not a weave. In my opinion, I would tell my clients not to go over 2 months, and even that is pushing it, because your natural skin cell turnover cycle is every 28 days. So yeah, it would say, oh, 2 months, 3 months, that's not a long time, but it's like, y'all, come on, because it's you, instead of you shampooing your hair or combing your own hair every single day, now you only have to do it once a month. But let's talk about Olaplex. Now, a lot of people love Amazon, and they feel more comfortable trying Olaplex for the first time if it was on Amazon, but there are a lot of frauds on Amazon. So I reached out to Olaplex and I asked them if whether or not Olaplex was legit on Amazon, and this is what they said. Olaplex products on Amazon are authentic if they are purchased from the premium beauty Olaplex store. Selling directly to Amazon was the only way Olaplex could prevent third-party gray market and counterfeit items to be removed from the site. This way, our customers are confident that they are getting genuine Olaplex products online at the same price as they would in their salon. Hope that this helps. So I hope that it helps you guys. This is directly from Olaplex, right? So make sure that you check the link in the description box so you can head over to my Amazon store and see my recommended products from Olaplex, all right? Because they're amazing. Another thing, I guess it's called traction alopecia, but my edges are very thin. I keep my hair under a wave cap during the week for work, but they're not getting thicker. There's a small bald spot on both sides. Now, this is something that I really need most of you and all of you to get to. If you have thinning edges, if you have thin hair, the if you're keeping it covered in a wig cap, if you're wearing scarves every night, your hair is not going to thicken back up and grow back. It's not. If something was dying or not coming back to life because it doesn't have proper oxygen flow, if you keep it blocked off from oxygen the majority of the day, it's not coming back. So most people would be like, oh, why didn't you cover it? Why didn't you put a closure on? The reason that I did not put a closure on her hair is because on the edges, if we want it to grow back, she needs pure oxygen flow. All right. The thing is, yes, we create illusions within the hair industry, but even though I'm creating illusions, you still have to live in reality. Because if you really want to grow your hair back, you have to make a breathable environment like this mother made. Make sure you go back, rewind this video as many times as you need to, and take a screenshot of the review that the mother of this beautiful little girl left, right? Once she was able to reset the hair growth cycle, and once she was able to detox detox her daughter's body from the inside out with my Bodak Blue extract, she was able to regrow her daughter's hair by resetting her hair growth cycle and rebuilding new hair growth cells, right? Make sure you check the video links in the description box below so you can learn a little bit more about that, right? At this point now, I'm just going through and we are styling her hair, right? Now, I had not seen her. I didn't see her ever again after this day, right? So I'm not sure if whether or not she kept up with the regimens. I'm not saying that she didn't. She probably could have, but one of the main reasons why I decided to move on to a different form of the cosmetology field is because this was the majority of the time that I spent in the industry. And I also need you to keep in mind this room that you're seeing right now, this was the last room that I worked in as a professional cosmetologist, right? The last room. So what you're seeing now is something that I dealt with my entire career. And by this time, I was like, okay, I don't think that I'm helping, right? I just did not believe that I was helping the problem because nobody was getting hair growth because no one listened. Everybody was so hell bent on closures and frontals. Mind you, this video is 6 years old. So take away 6 years from today in 2024, this is when this happened. And there is just as much balding and thinning in forms of alopecia, if not more now than they were back then, right? But I love going back and looking at things from the past and then coming and showing you guys results and receipts. It's one thing for me to say, oh, I can't stand wash and goes and twist outs and stuff, and I'm just leading with emotion, and it's a whole nother thing for me to come back and show you receipts on why, right? And for me to show you the social proof that my techniques and tactics work. So I'm not just randomly saying things. I'm not just randomly trying to get you to buy things. I have things packaged up, right? You can either binge watch here on my channel for the next couple of months until you get through all 850 of my videos, right? Or you can read all of my ebooks, or you can look through all of my videos and you can get your own regimen together yourself. Or again, you can join the 7-day challenge and I'll do it for you, right? It's up to you. But at the end of the day, these are the real life options that you have. Weaves and extensions are not bad. Frontals are not bad. Closures are not bad. But people have a warped reality on how long they're supposed to last. Again, most of her breakage, all of this breakage came from frontals and closures and braids. And what people have to understand is frontals were never supposed to be what they've turned into. In the hair salon, like, we were doing frontals before they went viral on Love and Hip Hop. We were doing frontals long before Love and Hip Hop came along. But when Love and Hip Hop came along and celebrities started opening up their life to the public, it started making women believe that this was the norm, right? It made it look like they were walking around with the same wig on their hair for months, where in reality, these women were getting their hair done like every other day because their hairstylists were being paid and they lived on set, right? If they're filming, if cameras around, trust and believe their hair and makeup people around too. They were not leaving wigs and frontals on their head for weeks at a time, not even weeks at a time, right? Like days. A wig or a frontal is something that's supposed to be on the scalp or the hair shaft for days, right? Not months, not weeks, but like days. So yeah, now we're just doing a little bit of slide cutting. Again, it was not my point or purpose to blur out her face 100%, but when I could, it did. But anywho, now at this point, as you can see, yes, if we pull her hair back, you can see the tracks. But this, I again was not there for vanity metrics. My job was to cure scalp infections and hair shaft disorders. And follicle disorders. That was my job, and there's nothing that you can do to cure a hair follicle disorder or a scalp disorder that includes you putting any type of edge control, beeswax, all of that. Those are not things that you can do. It's just not. If you're a person who's experiencing balding and thinning, styling products like gels and putties and things, it's not something that you do until your scalp heals up, right? Styling products and certain styles that you see that are like super cute online is for healthy hair. Coloring your hair, chemicals in your hair is for healthy hair. That's why I tell people, like, if you're tired of Team Natural, the last thing you should do is go get a relaxer. You want to go bald? Go get a relaxer after you've been Team Natural for 10 years. No, chemicals are not the answer. Changing your routines and your patterns are the answer, right? So again, around this time, nobody really wanted their curls to stay intact. Everybody wanted like body waves and body curls. I tried to blur her face out here as much as I could, simply because this was like a clear face shot, like just all in the face. But this is how it turned out. Everything turned out really, really, really cute. I hope you can still see like how cute it is, even though the facial blur was blurring things out. But let me know what you guys think about this video in the description box below. I hope everything was pretty self-explanatory, but I do need you guys to understand that when women wear weaves, it's not because, oh, they're ashamed of their hair. The majority of my clients that wore weaves didn't have this issue. The majority of my clients that wore weaves had hair just as long or longer than these bundles. So if you want to see some videos of hair extensions on my clients with really long hair, then make sure you let me know in the description box below. Our next video is going to be on micro links, so make sure that you like this video, give me a comment for your favorite part, and do not forget to subscribe. Bye.